Hello and welcome to In the Weeds. We're recording live from the Picky Weeds Esoteric Occult Boutique, located just south of Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, in beautiful South Abington Township. Picky Weeds is the largest and most diverse boutique of its kind in Northeast Pennsylvania, with an increasingly wide variety of items for many traditions.
In addition to items for sale, Picky Weeds hosts a wide variety of classes, events, and community-driven gatherings throughout the year. Picky Weeds is located at 105 Layton Road, South Abington Township, PA. Open Wednesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. More information can be found at www.pickyweeds.com. That's PICKEYWEEDZ.com, or on our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. In the Weeds is the official podcast for Picky Weeds, where we strive to bring the community together with topics of interest, guest speakers, and informative discussions to benefit the entire community.
If you'd like to be a guest speaker, either live or remote call-in, please visit www.pickyweeds.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, find In the Weeds podcast guest application, click it, copy and paste the text into an email with your contact information, and send it to us at pickyweeds@gmail.com.
Now let's get in the weeds. Hi guys, welcome back. It is season 3, episode 7. As you notice, we've spaced these out a little bit. Everybody needs a freaking break. And yeah, we're a bit on overload. And there's a lot of good reasons, and we'll get to that.
Well, yeah, it takes a little bit to do a podcast. It's not just us yammering.
No,
it's the post production that and we don't do really editings per se. But
no scripts.
But you still have to produce it. And, cut a track and upload it and all that crap.
It's a little crazy. And then you have to listen to it. So you have to sit and listen to yourself for an hour and a half. And you're like, do I ever shut up? Oh, my God. But I just want to start out today with, I saw some snake oil salesman bullshit this morning. They were calling these things Lemurian light and fairy mist crystals and saying how powerful they were because aliens, the aliens.
Aliens. Insert meme here.
And these quartz crystals with these fairy lights and these mists inside of them, it's a geological.
What was the description?
Oh, God, what was the description? Hold on. Let me go back to where I took my picture. Eclipse Lemurian crystals. As the legend goes, they were forged in a time when moonlight passed through the veil of the worlds and met the breath of the white mist called Valori by the Lemurians. These crystals were born during total eclipses when sky and spirit touched in silence. Yeah. Oh my God.
I always wanted to hit that button. Sorry.
It goes on and says it's a rare formation and all of this crap. Oh, no. All of you have heard of inclusion quartz. It's not even so much as that, but it is. Fluid and gas inclusions in clear quartz, in any kind of quartz, cause a kind of misty, or they can cause a kind of sparkly inclusion in the quartz. And here, word to the wise. Using these, holding them in your hands, holding them, wearing them on your bodies, can cause those inclusions to clear or dry up and go away. It's why when I'm selling Brandbergs that have, they're called Brandberg amethyst, and they have anhydrous in them, which is little inclusions of water bubbles that you can actually see that move back and forth in the crystal. I say don't handle it too much and don't drop it, because guess what happens? Handling it too much heats it up, causes it to dry out. Dropping it cracks it, and the fluids leak out. So that is some snake oil shit. Energies in crystals are scientifically proven. You don't need the snake oil so that you can mark the price up on something that I would sell for probably $5 and charge $30-$40 for it.
Yeah, it's really disheartening, because there's so much nonsense, and people, once you take a bite of that conspiracy theory carrot, you get on a magical mystery tour of bullshit.
Yeah.
And it does a disservice to the occult community. It does a disservice to the esoteric community, the witch community, the practitioner community, because we don't need to do that. you're adding things in that are just fantastical, and in this business's case, hoping it's a marketing ploy so that
it's not even just this business.
Those that subscribe to that, right? That whatever conspiracy theory you want to insert.
Look at pieces of the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, they're going to be attracted to that. Oh, ancient aliens did. Isn't it enough that we can prove that the molecules and the atoms actually are moving? They're moving in everything, right? But they vibrate at a frequency hertz, in that crystal that matches the vibe in you.
Yeah. Isn't it not enough that we can power phones, cell phones, laptops, TVs, whatever, with these crystals, and that you have crystalline structures in your brain, so you're related to them? Is it not enough?
We have to add aliens and spaceships and all kinds of nonsensical bullshit that makes us all look like fucking freak. I am a freak, but I am a freak.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, though,
let your freak
right?
fly.
It's unnecessary garbage, and it's put out to sell crystals to people that are unsuspecting or that are new to it and are naive to it.
Or not new to it. It's just the latest metaphysical terminology buzz, and that's why you don't see us use metaphysical terminology here.
New age.
Because it's new age metaphysical terminology, and it's just crap. And it keeps people from learning because it veils the truth in such a mysterious sounding terminology. And then there's all this fluff added to it that, from different people's so-called experiences where they're just trying to sell books and sell items and stuff like that, but they're trying to obscure actual practice with that terminology. And it makes it so much harder for the new seeker to actually learn anything of how to move themselves within this spiritual practice and how to actually feel something within themselves. And all you have to do is remember that you're a part and participle of everything, and everything is related to you.
I mean, you can
it's
believe
really that simple.
You can believe whatever you want. If it brings you comfort that alien spaceships are around, I don't see how that comforts you. But but the fact of the matter is, it's not fact. It's a made up bunch of bullshit, and then it's a huge money grab.
Yes,
right?
it is.
The people that subscribe to this stuff end up joining cult-like organizations and devoting all their funds to this organization, and you ruin your credibility with any sane person that you talk to, because the minute you said, do you see that flagpole in Clark Summit? That's not a flagpole. That's an antenna to the mothership.
It is. We heard that.
Shit that has actually been said to me.
He actually got very angry because I couldn't see the spaceship.
You see the ships, don't you?
Yeah,
no, those are clouds.
He's pointing to, on the day he was showing it to me, it was a bright blue sky and there was nothing there. And he was like, don't you see the ships? Look, they're there. No. It's
that delusional behavior that leads you down to madness.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground. And this is why we stress it. If you don't have your own house in order, you shouldn't be delving into the esoteric.
No.
Because it leaves you wide open to the snake oil salesmen and the hucksters and people that are just trying to get your cash.
Like the guy that claimed he put the binding spell on the girl's husband and said he had already charged her $500 for that, and he said, if you want me to take it off, it'll be an additional $800 because I have to buy a goat. Can we say snake oil loudly enough?
Religion, spirituality is a rife hunting grounds for predatorial people. And so you really need, people will say, well, I'm new, but I'm really skeptical.
You should be.
And you should, I applaud you for that. You should be skeptical.
It's healthy.
Don't accept something just because somebody told you.
Yeah.
Well, I know I can't buy tarot cards for myself. Yeah, the fuck you can.
Yes. That's a tradition,
it's
not
nonsense.
Our tradition.
Yeah, the fuck you can. Yeah. And people get it in their heads because they think, well, it's a cult, right? So all of this must be true. It must be fanciful. And honestly, we're just lighting incense, fucking sparking candles and talking to our ancestors.
Yeah, that's all we're doing.
It really boils down to a bunch of people that just value the vile, nature, things like that. And people think they have to attribute all of this alien shit and all of this conspiracy theory, and it's absolute bunk.
As Bruce Lee would have said, don't concentrate on the finger or you'll miss all of the heavenly glory.
Enter the dragon.
Yeah. In other words, you're conflating and flowering up And that raises your expectations so high that you won't notice when you actually had a spiritual experience.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And we have to police our own community. You have to call out those people, because those types of people that are selling you the shit they're predatory. You know, it's no different than, a sexual predator, right? They're using you to come in to, say, a tarot reading, and your guard is down and you're open, and they see that as an opportunity to take advantage of you.
Oh, you poor thing.
Whereas a legitimate tarot reader wouldn't dream of doing something like that.
Yeah.
They're just there to perform a service, to help. And not to say you can't read your own cards, but some people don't have friends that practice, and maybe they need a tarot reader.
There's too much sexual predation in this.
You have to be very, very careful. And it's not just the occult community. This is Christianity. This is, any kind of spirituality or religion where people are opening up and being vulnerable. So it's good to do that, but do it in a safe place. Like doing mushrooms. Don't do it by yourself, right? Do it with friends that you can trust.
So in case you do have a trip
that can be there for you. It's kind of why we've encouraged to find a friend. If you can't join a group, find a friend.
Yeah.
And do things together, because, you can bounce ideas off each other, and the odds of both of you being taken in, or all three or all four or however many is in your group, the odds of that happening are a lot less than you by yourself. Because when you're new, you don't know who's legit and who's not. Your bullshit detector is not calibrated yet.
And everything sounds so wonderful and so happy and shiny.
Yeah, I remember that exciting
so beautiful time. And oh my God, I got to try this because it just sounds fantastical.
Yeah, it's an awakening.
Yeah,
it's an awakening moment, and it's a precious time. So I think the point that we're trying to get across is, don't let a marketing scheme from a business screw up your head. Don't let a flashy guru. And we've watched a couple documentaries this week. The yoga community is no stranger to that as well.
Kundalini yoga.
The whole Kundalini yoga scam.
Yeah.
And it is a scam. It's nonsense. Now, whether there's actual true Kundalini yoga, I think that's up for debate. And I'm not a yogi. But it's not hard.
But I did live with one.
It's not hard to tell, when they start to become a god, or they call themselves Mother God, or they become, the only living incarnation of this. Anyone that's making those claims in any kind of discipline, you need to have your pole of bullshit.
I think I said this morning that they're enforcing codes on you that they got from spirit. How do you know? How do you know it wasn't a sludge being talking to them? Why are you following their code? What feels correct to you? You need to stop what it is you're doing. I know they sound wonderful and fantastical, and they use a lot of lovely, lofty, high ideal sounding buzzwords, metaphysical terminology, new age butterfly bullshit.
Yeah.
You need to stop and see if you feel any ick. You need to stop and see if you feel any pull or draw, an actual, not something that they have quickly inserted into the back of your mind. Like you get that little tingle when you're talking to somebody, or you get that chill. Careful. It's also, the same can be said true of romance and be said of romance, because if you get that butterfly in your stomach, that's lust.
It's you have to be so careful, and that's why I think it's really important for new folks to do your research, build your foundation, and your foundation needs to be built on rock, not on sand and muck. And to build it on rock, you need some academic sources too. You need to know your history. We preach this, I know, time and time again, but nothing could be more important, especially when you're starting out, because that's when they get you.
Yes, oh my God.
When you don't know better, when you can't call them on their crap.
Yeah.
And there's so much crap. I mean, it's like a metaphysical store opening up, but the proprietor is a hardcore Christian and a MAGA.
What the hell?
Now, how does locking up little brown people translate to metaphysical or spiritual? How?
But this is a whole movement too. This mega spiritual movement.
It is.
In which they're like selling all kinds of conspiracy theories and all kinds of hate masked as spirituality, separatism. There's an article out on how spiritual women went right and far right and
Star
stuff like
seeds.
that, and star seeds
Fuck
and all that
off.
stuff. And it's really kind of terrifying, this infiltration by the right into metaphysics, where all these conspiracy theories are leading to people being very aloof and very afraid of everything outside of themselves, and you become quickly other because you're not one of them, and you don't see the truth, and you don't see it's such a bunch of horse shit. Please don't fall for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's real easy to.
Yeah.
And because when you're new, anything, you may go to a bar just because it's gothic.
Yeah.
But the thinking that the proprietor is one of the community.
No, they're not. They're just making money.
Is just using the
I
aesthetic.
have nothing against you making money.
to make money.
Yeah, but
We'll
don't
sell you mac and cheese and a skull.
don't frame
But
it as something that it's not. Yeah.
But the proprietor is just making cash.
He's just smart. It's just smart. He knows what people are looking for, what they
Yeah.
want, and he's giving it to them. But that doesn't mean he practices.
No.
No,
Or knows
it
the first
doesn't.
fucking thing
Yeah.
about what he's talking about. And it's great. That's your vibe. You want to go there, have fun, and enjoy a meal? Great.
Good.
Awesome. But don't think any more of it.
Yeah.
It's just
just
decor.
aesthetic.
It's
Yeah.
decor.
Yeah.
And, that's cool, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
I'm too old for alternative, so
Yeah.
whatever. But
I don't understand though, because I guess I'm way past it, and I know that I got pulled in a couple of times as I was younger, but I was very, very alone in the evangelical South, and out which in the evangelical South, let's frame this back 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was dangerous for me, and it's one of those things that it finally caught on with me. That if you want to know if this system works for you, you have to approach it sort of scientifically. So you try the same spell over and over and over and see if you can ever replicate results. Mm-hmm. You try blessing one candle and not the other. See which one does better. You approach these things rather than believing everything somebody tells you. I really didn't have anybody to bounce mine off on. I guess that's why I'm so independent. But if you want to be sure, try what they told you. Try it. But then once the allure of it's over, and once you're not caught up in, all the trappings of it and all the beautiful sounding words and, the whole spiritual vibe of the place, go to your own place and try it again. Try it again and see if you can replicate the feeling. If you can't, you were just caught in what we call a mass delusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, mass hypnosis. That whole, when humans join together in great crowds and move in waves together, especially concerts and stuff like that, you kind of get into that whole, and you think that's spiritual. Can you replicate it when you're alone?
And be wary of gurus.
Oh, my
Most
God.
people
Run
that
like
I
hell.
have met that have presented themselves as a quote-unquote teacher are usually someone who has a year or less of experience, and that experience is in fruit,
Yeah,
New
or
Age,
Udemy or
nonsense,
some online school
bullshit.
certification.
Or just bullshit.
Yeah.
If you're a practitioner, they've just read some Llewellyn books and,
And now they
that's
wanna
it.
teach. Yeah.
And now they want to teach people.
Yeah.
It's much better to find a peer.
Yeah.
You can find someone on equal footing where neither one of you is the leader. Neither
Yeah.
one of you is the teacher.
And learn together.
You're just learning together.
Yeah.
For the sake of the art, of your practice, of your advancement. And not we've seen covens charge money to be members. And, they
big
can
money.
argue, well, the money goes for supplies and for doing things, okay, well,
bullshit. You know how we did it? We told each other what to bring.
it's not supposed to
Yeah.
be that way. And I guess if you just like instant gratification, I guess that works for you.
Yeah.
But you're going to get much more personal benefit just having a friend to bounce things off.
Yeah.
And it's mutually beneficial. You're both growing together and you're both discovering the pitfalls and the traps and things like that together. And you're just going to be stronger. You know,
Absolutely.
Even if it's 2, 3, 4 people, you know, you don't need a fucking coven of 13.
Yeah, no.
Just a couple friends.
No.
You know,
And you want people with different aspects, different strengths and different weaknesses. You want that to balance the circle. And you don't want the jealousy that, oh, hey, that one can see things. That one can see, or that one can hear things. You don't want to be jealous of that. That strengthens your circle.
Yeah, and don't feel like you're incompetent or
Yeah.
you're not as quote unquote gifted. Everybody's different.
Everybody has different gifts.
And some people don't have any.
No, yeah.
But
we don't know. They might have something.
There's a difference between, you know, the spirituality part of it, where you have a deity and where you talk to your ancestors and things like that, and then the actual practice.
Yeah.
And the practice, you don't necessarily need the spirituality if that doesn't appeal to you.
No.
And there's no rule that says you do.
Oh, I know a lot of atheists that are extremely spiritual. I've gone on walks with them.
Yeah, it works vice versa.
Going through the park, and they'll notice things that you don't. And it's very scientific, and they'll be able to explain things in ways that are very plain spoken and methodical. And I've had some really good experiences with those folks.
Yeah.
And there's nobody I love better than an agnostic. Because
Absolutely.
they're open to everybody and everything.
Yeah, it's the whole human characteristic of putting rules on things.
Yeah.
And putting conditions. And I guess if you need that, okay, but just understand that anything in excess could be a problem.
Yeah, and one told me he actually needed the discipline of having like a lodge or something like that,
totally
because
get that.
he can't. It's like having a partner at the gym. You've got somebody that is going to keep you real and compete against you and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to and you're keeping your steps. It's sort of like AA, and some people do need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes that is very beneficial. Other times it depends on the lodge whether that's beneficial or not, and what they're doing to you while you're there. You know.
Yeah, you have to keep your bullshit detector engaged.
What they're
at all
skewing
times.
from you. Yeah.
But I mean, just the act of walking into the lodge or of your sacred grove or even your altar in your house, it triggers something psychologically in you. You know, where it's like you talked about the gym, right? So you have trouble working out on your own, you lose motivation. But when you walk into the gym, you see everybody else working out, and
you don't have any choice.
You're like, damn it,
you're gonna look like a slacker.
But it kind of sets your mind into that place where, okay, I need to do my stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so you kind of have the same effect when you walk into a magical lodge, when you walk into your grove or you sit at your altar. It triggers something in you, and that's great. That's awesome. You're doing it right.
Yeah.
It's just different strokes for different folks. I think the crux of what we're saying is be ever mindful of marketing techniques, be they a geologist spouting fucking alien shit to sell his crystals, even though we know full well he doesn't believe any of that crap.
No, he doesn't.
It's just a
market
market his shit.
Oh, and maybe he it's whoever he bought it from that he got his marketing from. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't say for sure.
Representing
I haven't asked
him, so it's kind
of like step back.
You're ruining every bit of credibility you might have had with that nonsense.
And he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows his shit, so that was shocking.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. You know, so you got to have the bullshit detector fully up and operational at all times.
He wants to appeal, and I get that.
It's better to disbelieve something at first and then be proven otherwise by personal experience.
Yeah.
Than to take somebody's word for some outlandish stuff.
Yeah.
And just go along to get along. Okay, aliens? Oh, okay, aliens. Yeah, spaceships.
But I have a caveat here. If there were aliens and they did create all this and they had all this high-speed technology, why are we still so far behind? If they came to us and they came here and they left this information and we're supposed to glean something from it and build a civilization, why are we still stuck pretty much in the damn dark ages?
Yeah. I mean, even China, we all saw when we got on Red Note, that all the bullshit about China was just that, bullshit propaganda.
They're
right?
50 to 100 years ahead of us.
They're way ahead of us. But still, that notwithstanding, compared to what people claim about this alien technology, why don't they have flying cars?
Yeah.
Why aren't they living on the moon?
Exactly.
You know, so the argument holds as far as I can see because it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, these light beings came in. Oh, hello, star seeds. Look, stop.
Stop. Yeah.
It's just making you look ridiculous. Yeah. And
And look up the etymology of these terms, people. The word is etymology. It literally gives you a history of where the word came from, and how it got started, who was behind it, and a lot of times what the ideology was, of the time. And that word starseed has Nazi ties.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And people don't mean anything by it.
No, they think it's a lovely thing to be different.
They're trying to differentiate people that are leaning into the spiritual.
But you're leaning into the colonizer mindset right there.
Absolutely.
Because you're separating yourself from others or putting yourself on a higher or different plane than others, like you're different.
And it's that attitude.
You're better. And
it's that attitude right there that fucks everything up.
Yes.
The very second you start to think of yourself as superior,
yes,
you got a problem.
Yes.
None of us are superior.
No.
We're not superior to anybody listening to this.
I'm obviously not superior. You can hear my allergic asthma wheezing this morning. So there you go. How superior is that?
But because working magic should be empowering, self-empowering. I mean, anyone who's done the Bornless
oh my God.
is a very empowering ritual, right?
Oh my God.
Among other things.
And it's been replicated. We've been able to replicate it time and time again.
And, it's very easy for the ego to seize control of that and to spiral, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you have to really be cautious. That's why we say make sure your own house is in order.
Yes.
Make sure your bills are paid.
Make sure you got a second that will call you on your bullshit.
Your domestic issues are resolved.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not approaching spirit with anger or wanting to have revenge or any of these.
Or trying to control spirit. Good luck with that.
Or trying to be the guru, the latest guru, so you can make a new Facebook page and make money.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
Yeah.
And people get lost in that shit. And whether they're making money or giving money, they get lost in it. And they get very defensive about it because how could they possibly be wrong after all these years?
Yeah.
But I dare you to find in the Agrippa references of alien spaceships and Lemurian crystals.
Yeah.
And all of these things. Or classical literature, grimoires of note. Show me there.
Yeah.
It is a romantic notion, and we'd love to think that there is something guiding us like that. But it boils down to spirit.
Yeah.
It boils down to our ancestors. It boils down to the unseen world. That doesn't mean you have evidence for antennas to the mothership.
No.
You have to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground or you're going to be lost.
And that documentary we watched, those were big alien spaceships. No, they literally were clouds.
They're fucking clouds.
Oh my God.
Mother God and Father God. Well, they fucking rip people off and shit.
That thing was, oh my God, I felt so bad.
Yeah, there's a couple documentaries on HBO that are worth watching. One is Breath of Fire?
Breath of Fire, which is about Kundalini Yoga. And the other one is, oh God, is it Mother God?
Yeah,
the cult of Mother God or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. You'll search, you'll find it.
Yeah.
But it's very disturbing, and it shows the human capacity to be a follower.
Yeah.
And to accept things that sound good at face value, but if you gave it a moment's thought.
Or accept things that feel good at first.
Yeah, it make you feel better than everyone else.
Because you
I'm
can
different.
hide.
I'm special.
Yeah.
You're special in your own right. You don't need that. And it's really disconcerting, and is one of the reasons we founded Picky Weeds.
Yeah.
Because no matter where we went in our travels, and every store that we went into, they were all cookie cutter, all the same.
It was always some Karen looking down her nose at you because you weren't spiritual enough.
It had new age everything from aliens to whatever. It's just nauseum.
Yes.
And very white girl magic.
And they've co-opted everything from Native America to Celtic practices to Norse practices to.
Yeah.
They have literally co-opted every bit of it and twisted it into something it never was, never has been. And all you got to do is read the lore to find out they're full of shit.
But people don't want to do that. They just give me a book so I can learn it.
Yeah. And give me something that's readable. So they want something that reads on like a level of a teenage novel, that makes it interesting and flowers it up and makes it fun to read.
Novel.
Yeah,
I need pictures.
And I'm like, Guys, this is not where it's at. That's somebody making money. Can we please see it for what it is? It is just somebody making money.
Yeah, taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
And this takes work. This is an art. It takes work. It takes dedication, and it takes passion.
I learned in the woods, in the darkness of night.
I mean,
And it's probably where I'm most comfortable. I was terrified the first few times, to be completely honest. And then for some reason, the way she breathes at night, the way the animals come alive at night, the sounds, the richness of the whole experience is so mystical and so spiritual and so deep that I crave it.
Yeah.
I literally crave it.
let's sprinkle some aliens in there to make
Yeah.
it more mystical. And call yourself a guru.
You don't need aliens. There's plenty out there to scare you.
It's just unnecessary garbage, and it will lead you down to a road of severe unhappiness.
Yes.
You hear people talking 5D,
Yeah. And when you can't replicate it.
downloads. These are all
Yeah.
new age terms.
Yeah.
And I get what you're trying to say, and there are even people that don't even really understand the full definition of what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But it is very new age.
It is.
And new age is very dangerous.
And it seems very unattainable and very
Yeah.
lofty ideal.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to guide a newbie, it's not the way to talk to them.
Yeah.
Be plain spoken.
Yes.
I firmly believe in being plain spoken with everybody, and maybe that's I'm not as popular as I could be.
Well, yeah. I mean, if
Yeah.
we were shitheads,
Yeah.
it would be frighteningly easy to fleece people, right? But we're not shitheads, and we're not unethical, and
Yeah.
we're not going to do that.
Exactly.
And sink or swim, we're never going to do that. We're never going to abide
It's
by
just
that.
ingenuous.
So when we went to these stores, it was just an immediate, like, okay, I'd walk in, pan flutes playing, all right,
Yeah.
same old shit, walk the fuck out.
Yeah.
Walk into another one, same old shit, walk the fuck out.
Yeah.
And we were determined
Dejected and depressed.
when we were brainstorming picky weeds, that we weren't going to be like that. And a lot of people want us to be like that to this day.
Yes. Just recently. Yeah.
Every single store experience they've ever had has always been the same, just like it was always the same for us.
Yeah.
We are not that.
No.
This is not a new age store. And even people that have done advertising on our behalf
Yeah.
have attributed it the new age moniker.
Yeah.
Because
Please
that's
don't.
all they know.
Yeah.
Because that's the cookie cutter. That's the norm.
It literally offends me.
We are anything but a new age.
Yeah.
Do we sell crystals? Yes,
Yes.
because crystals are valid.
Yes.
You can read about them in Agrippa. You can read about them in several magical
You can read
texts.
about them in
You
science.
can read about them in fucking geology.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They do vibrate at a hertz.
What are semiconductors made from?
And they do attune to you. Because you vibrate at a hertz.
Silicone.
Oh, this crystal's really vibing
crystal.
with me. Well, this is where science and magic meet.
There's a good
Right?
reason for that.
And
Yeah.
that's where we're coming from.
Yeah.
Not, well, I got a download from the aliens in 5D.
Yeah.
That's no, that's not what happened.
No.
We studied the text.
Can I clear that up a little bit?
Yeah.
You heard from spirit.
Yeah.
You heard from ancestors, and you heard from spirit. And we used to just say, I get messages from spirit. What happened to that? That's normal. You might hear your grandmother speaking through you. She might her words might come right out of your mouth. That happens to me a lot. Spirit is speaking through you. Open yourself to be the vessel for spirit, and stop all this other extraneous crap talking, because it's not necessary. Let them speak through you. Please stop squelching their voices.
Yep. Magic is science. Magic is mathematics.
Yeah.
Magic is all of those things.
I wrote a piece about that the other day. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But I was sitting on the couch, and it just came to me, and I was like, "Oh, was that me? No, that definitely wasn't me. I'm not." Yeah.
Yeah, they will speak through
yeah.
you. Absolutely.
And I was like, I always tell people that you are a spirit having a human experience. I was watching a documentary on the false narrative of Kundalini Yoga and the origin of the fraud of this New Age practice when I heard the following words as if they had been spoken by something external to me. And they said, There is nothing more spiritual external to you. There is no spirituality beyond you. You are the literal vessel of spirit, which is yearning for your human experiences. So feed that spirit the human experience and let that spirit speak through you. And it's really that simple, and you'll have no better guide in your lifetime than your ancestors and the spirits that are walking right through you right now.
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can feel the change in yourself when you've had one of those experiences. It doesn't need to be mystical.
No.
It could be you met someone from another country, another part of the world, and their perspective changed your view.
Yeah.
Or broadened your horizons a little bit. Oh, I never thought of it like that. You know, those are the moments of growth.
Yes.
You know, and growth in your practice. So you read something and you tried it and it clicked and it was like,
Yeah.
okay. And it was plain spoken and it wasn't trying to be lofty and flowery and all that. Everybody needs to take on the role of being plain spoken.
Yeah.
And let's get rid of the jargon and all of the crap that was designed to make you feel superior to the person you're talking to.
Yes. And
You know.
interacting with the elements can be as simple as something like running, that runner's high. That comes from an interaction with the elements. It's absolutely intoxicating. And it's absolutely something that they will tell you that they get totally addicted to. Like they have to do it every day to feel like themselves. Do things like that. It's really simple to find the spiritual and have the spiritual experience without all the metaphysical lingo tied up in it and all the gurus that are taking your money.
Yeah, drop the titles.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't need them.
Yeah,
There's no need for any of that.
yeah.
You know, you want to call yourself a witch, call yourself a witch. Mm-hmm. Just for a general term. You want to call yourself whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever tradition.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is to keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
And don't let that ego take over, because the ego is what the predators look for.
Oh, God, you're
They
such easy
love
pickings.
people with big egos because they're easy marks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we had a saying, humility is power.
Yeah,
And it does.
it is.
To be silent.
Yeah.
And to ask questions and demand answers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if someone can't answer your question, then what are they saying to you? How do they qualify what they're saying to you as fact if they can't defend it?
Yeah.
With a logical argument.
A logical explanation as to how it occurred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do things happen in the occult world that are unexplainable?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
They happen every day in the regular world, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
But do we automatically assign it to spaceships
No.
or to, Kundalini yoga?
Yeah, no. That was one of the biggest grifts ever. He just knew exactly what he was doing when he came here.
Yeah, because people are seeking and they're searching.
Yeah, and he knew
and you
that.
can't fault them for that, because
No.
Western society, if you're not part of an Abrahamic tradition with that dogmatic structure,
Yeah.
it's hard for Americans because we lack a lot of those culture traditions. We lack it.
Because we're a melting pot.
Unless your ancestors have preserved it for you, whether an oral tradition or a familial tradition, it's really hard, to come up with something that defines practice for you if you don't want anything to do with the Abrahamic, and you're seeking, craving structure. I need somebody to tell me how it goes, and they want a book. Can you give me? Is the Abrahamic religions have a book, right? Tells you things.
Yeah.
Right?
But how many times has that book been rewritten and by whom?
Well, that's a whole
there's
other
the grift
subject.
right there. There's the grift.
It's a complete grift.
Yeah.
And power and control. So you're a seeker and you reject the Abrahamic, but what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
And they come in seeking guidance. And we tell you to do your work. And that's not what you want to hear.
No.
You don't want to hear that. You want to, here's this book. This tells you everything you need to do, step A to Z. And we're telling you it's not that simple. It is very simple, but it's not simple, right? You need to practice and you need to understand how to practice.
Yeah, it's like...
And develop your own methods and your own ways of doing things, but important to develop those means of discerning nonsense.
It's like martial arts. It's a discipline.
Oh, and look, that community is rife with nonsense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you can look up Bullshido and see motherfuckers charging money
For Bullshido.
for waving their hands at people and using their chi to knock people down. And I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous, but they have a huge following.
Yes, they do.
People believe that shit.
Yeah, they want to believe so
until
badly.
they get into an actual street fight.
Why
and
don't
get
you
their
want to
clock
believe
clean.
in yourself
Yeah.
so fully? And the way that you do that is testing your metal. Keep testing your metal. Go in those woods 2.5 miles back by yourself in the middle of the night. Go in those woods and spend your time with what is actual nature.
Yeah.
And you will understand that nature is not, she's absolutely supreme and beautiful, yes. However, she's not fireflies and fairies and angel wings and butterflies.
Oh, it's tooth and claw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's all that and tooth and claw.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. She's all of that and tooth and claw.
Why isn't that enough? Why
Yeah.
do we have to add aliens to it?
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
You're part of that. I want you to go out and sit at a tree in the middle of the night and think, I'm part of this. This is who I am. This is my being. I'm part and participle of everything that surrounds me and everything that's touching me and all of the molecules I'm breathing into my body right now.
Yeah, be one with it.
Yeah.
Let it be in charge.
Yes.
You know, and vibe off of it.
Yeah.
You know, but we're talking about martial arts, and you see these, we call them McDojos.
Yeah. Oh, God.
You know, and it's very
They're
similar
terrible.
to what we're seeing, like, say, for example, Reiki masters,
Yeah.
right? So Reiki is this supposed ancient Japanese tradition,
Yeah.
right? Took years and years and years and years of dedicated study, right?
Yeah.
And now we're churning out Reiki masters in 6 months.
Yeah. You will never see that in
You get a
Japan.
little slip of
Yeah.
paper that
Yeah.
says you're a Reiki master, and then you can go out and charge people hundreds of dollars to wave your hands over them.
Yeah.
How legitimate is that?
Well, it's like you going to the Queen in North Carolina and driving their so-called teacher all the way up against the wall, and you have too much yang, John.
Oh my,
Yeah. You don't have enough, sir.
yeah, but he could do a lot of push-ups.
Yeah.
Couldn't
It's
fight
like-
worth a shit, but
No.
he could do push-ups.
It's like, oh my God.
You know.
And we went there not to do that.
No.
And neither one of us
With their
wanted.
seeking.
Neither one of us wanted to actually take center stage with anybody that day. They kind of
No.
forced us into it because we were new. Because they like to put you on the spot. That's their teaching style, is
Yeah.
to like put you on the spot and embarrass you. Well,
Yeah.
it was quite the contrary. And Jay stepped one into the back wall, and he like. He pushed him all the way across till he was just about dripping on the floor, and the guy's like, "You have too much yang," and I was like,
Says the guy with his back against the pads.
and that was just
I'm like, what is wrong with you?
That
I'm
was
not even
just-
trying,
that
dude.
was just a soft opening.
This is just a drill. I'm not
Yeah.
even trying.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with
Why
you?
are you backing up?
It's like fucking air.
Why are you giving me the phone booth?
And it's because they were taught fluff in give little bits of information in very tiny amounts, and they lather it with fluff so that you keep coming back every week and keep paying your dues.
Yeah.
It's all about making money.
But not your Sifu.
No, no, he was something different.
Yeah.
Sifu didn't even charge some people if they couldn't afford it.
He taught in his garage. Jesus Christ.
No, he had a Kun, but it was just a little empty store about a quarter the size of our first store. If that tells you how small
Yeah.
it was, and packed 20 fucking plus people in there.
Yeah.
You know, you're literally fighting in a phone booth.
Yeah.
And it was hot and sweaty and it stank and it was fucking awesome. And it was violent. And it was no bullshit. There's no flowery crap. There was no flowery terminology.
No.
It was the art direct as it was meant to be taught
Yes.
and meant to be passed down.
Not with calisthenics.
So you see these McDojos and they're handing out black belts to fucking kids that are like 10 years old.
Oh, they're filling their head full.
And this kid is going to go through their teenage and young adult years thinking, I'm a black belt. And they're going to come across something that's violent. And they're going to get the ever-living crap beat out of them from somebody that's on the street that's been fighting real fights their whole life.
Because it's a whole different world outside the dojo or the Queen.
Yeah.
When it comes to the street, it's a whole different world. There's no telling what they're going to pick up and hit you with. And,
No.
Yeah.
I don't care how good you are.
Yeah.
There's always somebody bigger, stronger,
Absolutely.
and faster.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't have any belts other than the leather one holding their britches up.
When you've had your ass kicked by a 70-year-old woman when you were in your 20s.
Got that old strength.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah.
Fast as light.
Yep.
fastest thing I've ever seen in my
But
life.
I see parallels with the martial arts community and the pagan/spiritual community in that Americans always want gratification.
Instant
We want
gratification.
things in set stages, in advancement, in degrees, and pieces of paper that says I'm this. And that's not what any of these arts are about.
No.
This art, and even martial arts, is supposed to be developing yourself.
Yeah.
Not just your ability to defend yourself or defend others, but also philosophically yourself. You're supposed to be growing along with it, along with the learning of new things. If you're not growing, then what's the point?
Yeah.
You can hang a fake certificate on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm a Reiki master.
Yeah.
Well, the fuck you're not.
Yeah.
You're somebody that got took.
Yeah.
And you can argue it. You can say, oh, no, we condensed it. No.
There's no condensing
It is
down.
Americanized nonsense.
And ask anybody from Japan.
Yeah.
It's not done that way.
Years and years and years of practice, dedication, and passion for it. It's not something you can do as a side project.
No, they actually work in clinics
In 6 months.
for years and years before they're ready.
But it's been cheapened and Americanized and broken down into bullshit bits to keep you coming back.
Yeah.
To keep getting your money. And we will never be about that. We're not about that. We're not about New Age. We're not about any of that bullshit.
No.
And it's really hard for people to wrap their head around. Like I said, we have marketing people. Oh, it's a New Age store. No,
it's
we're not.
And do you see that anywhere in our literature? No, you won't. So how do you arrive at this idea? Well, because there's so many others,
Right.
So you must fit. No, I'm a square peg in a round hole, and I've always been a square peg in a round hole, and I'm always going to be a square peg in a round hole, and I'm perfectly comfortable there.
It's like the ones that have tried to copy us.
Yeah.
They were customers.
Yeah.
They're like, I want this for myself.
Yeah.
And they try to replicate it. But they replicate a New Age store
Yeah.
because they too think this is that.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No.
And then they crash and burn.
Yeah.
It's not that. And I'm not saying putting us on a pedestal. It's not about that. It's us saying to you that we are trying to be as authentic and true as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And if we are ever wrong about things, and we are wrong too. We're human. We're fallible. We make mistakes. It happens.
It's hard. You're working with practices you've never practiced before.
Yeah. And you get corrected.
Yeah, because you're open to it.
Oh,
You're open
we
to
don't
it.
do that. That's not how that works. And you're talking to somebody who knows.
Yeah.
Right?
That's how you learn, folks.
And
Don't
you're
take
like,
it personally.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we've learned something.
Yes.
That's the beauty of this. There's no ego wrapped into it.
We come with a lot of
You know.
prepackaged ideas of what these practices are because of Hollywood.
Oh,
Let's
God,
just get
yeah.
it straight. And because of Christianity telling us to fear it, or it was of the devil and all these other things, and that it's a violent or an ugly religion. No, we've learned a lot in just opening our own space and talking to these people and viewing their practices and listening to them speak about their love for their gods and their ancestors. And you learn a lot that way if you can take your ego out of it, shut your mouth, and actually listen to somebody else and their cultural experience.
Yes.
And I think that's really, really necessary. And I think that if you come at those, and I see this in a lot of metaphysical spaces, that you come at those with fear. And so you won't carry anything of that religion because that's violent, or
It's
that's
New Age
ugly, or
thinking.
that's black,
Yeah.
or that's dark, or that's black magic. That's New Age thinking.
Yep.
And it's a means to an end.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And we have had people that we have shared our space with that were bound and determined to twist picky weeds into
that.
a New Age binder.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
And we're not going there.
Like we need to fit into this category. No. Even when we went on another podcast, if you listen to it, he argued the fact that, well, you should call yourself a holistic sower because, that'd be a lot better. You'd attract more people.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's
not the point.
That's not the people we're trying to attract.
Yeah.
If we do attract those type of people, fine, but that's not our target demographic.
Yeah.
Our target demographic is people that are really serious about it, that really have a passion, they really want to learn something, and they want to come together, and we want to foster that kind of community so other people have friends. So you're not alone like we were in the South.
Yeah.
So you're not just struggling to find things on your own. You have other people of like mind and of like passion to talk with, to bounce ideas off, to be together in it, right? And no, we're not going to change who we are.
No.
And we're not going to change for another podcast host. We're not going to change for a tarot reader. We're not going to change for any of these so-called healers that have taken up space here that are not here anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not what we are.
Yeah.
And they get mad and they stop off and they never to return and talk a bunch of shit. And that's fine. You're entitled to do that. Have at it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We don't care. We're not here for that. We are not here for you. You want to monetize your new age nonsense? By all means, this is America. Have fun. Go ahead. You can get right in line with all the other snake oil salesmen and do your thing.
Yeah.
You want to bastardize traditions so that it can be palatable to the American? Mm-hmm. Go right ahead. It's up to buyer beware, right?
It's called appropriation, by the way.
You know, we have made mistakes. We have let people in our house that were not deserving of that chance. They didn't deserve to be here. And in our naivete, in the beginning, we had open hearts and open minds, and we didn't know that much about these things. And we let people in that we shouldn't have.
And then drug me into their drama.
And it's drama. And look, we're not about that. I'm too old and I'm too tired to give a shit about your drama.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want, do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. And it really does come down to just that.
I actually had one that was angry with me because I wouldn't remove the healer that she was having a sexual relationship with when the sexual relationship ended. That relationship was consensual, but she had the nerve to compare it to when I removed the tarot reader who was being a sexual predator with females that were coming to him for readings. I had removed him, but I didn't remove her fast enough for the person who thought I should have protected her. This is a 30-some-year-old person who thought I should have protected her from a consensual sexual relationship with another adult. Number one, not my business. Number two, it's consensual. Number three, it was your choice.
Yeah, we are not going to get involved in your love life.
She wasn't getting predatory with you. You both made that decision unilaterally. I watched it happen. I'm not getting in the middle of it. Now, her and her newest shaman adjacent healer, whatever you want to call it, they got mad at me and left. And then they went and talked crap.
Yeah.
Said I was, offering a space where the healers were not safe. No, it's not safe if you screw your shaman. It's not. Mm-mm. It's not. You should never have a sexual relationship or a close personal relationship with somebody you're going to for healing. That is like having sex with your doctor in the doctor's office.
Yeah.
Give me a break, guys. Grow up.
Yeah, and a lot of this, and people will use the term unhealed.
Yeah, unhealed.
And I think that's accurate.
Yeah, it is very accurate.
It's accurate. And, you see it a lot. And a lot of people just want to we've had people that wanted to read tarot just so they could get something personal paid for.
Yes.
And these people are reading tarot by using the booklet that comes with the cards, and they're charging people money for it. Mm-mm. No, that's not going to happen here. No. We've had recently a tarot reader get upset with us because of our stance on the current political climate. And look, to say it bluntly, this isn't about politics, our stance. We never got involved in politics with the store. This is about humanity. This is about morals. This is about the Constitution. This is about the right thing to do against the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
And they see it in terms of politics. Like 20 years ago, we were arguing about infrastructure in trains from Scranton to New York or tax bills, those are political issues. When you are literally kidnapping people off of the streets and leaving their children on the sidewalk, that's not politics.
No.
That's tyranny.
Yeah, it is.
And all of these things were the stripping of rights, the stripping of women's rights, the stripping of, in the targeting of the trans community, the targeting of the gay community. Those aren't politics.
Why are you involved? Why are you wrapping yourself up in it? I want to question you. Why are you neutral?
There is no room for neutrality at this moment.
No.
You cannot be neutral, because to be neutral is to be on the side of tyranny.
Yes.
You are failing to grasp the moment that we are in.
We call that complicity.
It is sticking your head in the sand and la 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 la. This isn't happening. Yes, the fuck it is happening.
And then there was how does that affect you? It doesn't affect me yet, but I promise you that it will.
And why does it have to?
Why does it have to affect me for me to have?
I am
empathy?
a straight white male.
Yeah.
I am the safest one in the room. I am also the most angry at this.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely furious.
Yeah.
And disgusted by everything that's happening. Why? Because I give a fuck about my friends, my family, and even if I don't know you, I care about you.
Yes.
I don't want your rights taken from you.
No.
I don't want bad things to happen to you. I don't want your family to be ripped off the street. I want people to live in peace.
Yes.
And that's what you need to grasp, that it's not just about you and things happening to you directly. That you need to develop an empathetic approach to society, because if you don't have it, this is what happens.
Yes.
You only care what they came for them and I did nothing. They came for the other one. I did nothing. That's a very old writing, right? But people still only care when it affects them. And then they get mad at you when you want to defend people. Well, how does it affect you? It doesn't have to affect me. And why aren't you thinking that way?
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
Not at all. Not in the least.
But we get vilified because we're taking a stand, because we're adversarial to tyranny.
Yeah.
Which is by tradition have always been adversarial
Amen.
to tyranny. We have always stood up for the marginalized. We have always been an adversary to the oppressor. Always.
And we are witches.
And we will always
our duty.
be that.
Yeah.
It's not going to change whether you feel a certain way. And the people that have given us advice on how we should run the store and what we should be doing or not be doing, and you're not paying the bills.
Yeah.
It's just like telling your parents how they should run their household.
Yeah.
You feel license to run your mouth about the way we do things, and you shouldn't be political. I have a problem with the word resistance. Really?
Really?
What would you call standing against tyranny?
Yeah.
Because it's resistance.
Welcome to the resistance.
We will always be the resistance.
Yes.
This will always be a safe haven for the marginalized. This will always be a safe haven for the gay community, the trans community, and the straight community. It doesn't matter. And I know that's a hard concept, that I give a shit about everybody, no matter where you come from or what your creed is or what your family is. I want everyone to be able to live in peace.
Even if you don't like us, we want you to live
I don't
in
give a
peace.
shit.
Don't
You don't have to like me.
Yeah.
And,
But I do want to say something. They have not been here when these people have come in, terrorized, worried, in fear for their lives, wondering if they should just go ahead and self-deport. These people are our customers. We actually know them and we actually love them. And they're hardworking, loving, decent human beings. And when you've had to deal with that, come to me and tell me you're neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did we fight so hard to become an official safe space? Because we have had, I don't know, at least half a dozen young people over the last 5.5 years that have come to us in tears because their parents threw them in the street when they came out of the closet.
Yes.
And I wanted resources. Tay wanted resources so that we could direct them to people that were in place to help them. Whether it was to find housing, whether it was therapy, somebody to talk to so they can get it out. We don't want anyone to self-harm.
No.
We don't want any of that. We want you safe. And you came to us, which was very humbling, I might add.
Yes.
That you came to us to have someplace safe.
We love they feel that way about us.
And I want you to feel safe.
Yeah.
I want you to come here. Now we have those resources thanks to the Safe Space Alliance.
Yes.
Thanks to Puglisi and other amazing counselors.
Yes. And
right?
thanks to Queer NEPA.
We don't, and Queer NEPA, absolutely Queer NEPA.
Yeah.
We don't recommend these people because they paid us. They didn't pay us.
No.
We recommend these people because of their actions meet their words. They do what they say they're going to do. And they are there for the community legitimately.
Yeah.
And when you come in, when your parents have thrown you in the street and you don't know where to go and you don't know what to do and you're feeling lost, we want to be able to actually help you, not just give you a pat on the back and tell you it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It needs to be more than that. And the community needs to come together in these times. And to have someone who has been here for years, to have other people that we have known for as long as the store has, not understand why transphobic comments, anti-Semitic comments are not acceptable.
No.
And you can play all the games you like. You can post as many memes as you want to try to get a rise out of people. It doesn't change the fact that you're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
You're fucking
unequivocally
wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are not having it in our space.
No.
Well, John said this and John said that. We were playing cards against humanity.
Yeah.
Which in and of itself is
a pretty ugly
very ugly game.
Yeah.
And the thought was these were just things blowing off steam. Because there were representatives of all the communities at these tables, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every single community that we have.
You know, and everybody's laughing and having fun. That was great. But when you start saying it outside of that.
And in real life and to people.
That's a problem.
You know.
That's a big fucking problem. And you want to pretend to be part of this community, and yet you have nothing but hate in your heart.
Yep.
You want to take women's rights away from them. You want to do all of these things. You're not part of this community.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And you can get mad, and you can stir the drama, and you can stir the pot all you like. You can get in line with the rest of them that tried that shit over on stage left.
Yeah.
Because we're not having it here. People have tried all manner of things to disrupt. You're not any different.
No.
And it's sad that a 5-year relationship had to go away. But when we can determine that it's what you really believe.
It's what you legitimately feel in your heart.
This isn't an off-color joke.
No.
Or a part of the game. This is what you really believe.
Yeah.
And that's ugly.
Yeah.
And you can be as cool as you want and try to say things and be, no, not now especially.
Mm-mm.
Not now especially when there is tyranny everywhere. When they are doing everything they can, and thank the gods they are imbeciles.
Yeah.
And they are stepping on their dicks every 5 seconds. It's still terrifying.
Yes.
And if you're a member of that community, it's terrifying. Well, I don't agree with you guys having a gun class. Well, look at it this way. Are we gun nuts? No. But are we trained? Yes. Yes. And it's our belief that everyone should have the opportunity, should they desire, to protect themselves and their loved ones. Yeah. These gun classes aren't trying to make you into alpha male Hondo gun nut.
Yeah.
That's not the point.
Yeah.
The entire point was to bring a multi-licensed instructor who he and his wife are part of our community. They are part of the pagan community, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to go to a Hondo gun store and be exposed to that element. You can learn in a safe place that's a controlled environment that is not going to tolerate that shit. And you can learn from someone who really knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And you can learn skills if you want them. There's to defend your friends, to defend your family. Because the Second Amendment is for everyone. It's not for redneck whatever, right?
Yeah.
And we had the ladies in that class, and they came out and they were like, that was fucking amazing.
Best class.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's because of the way that Chuck and Emma present the material and the way that they make people feel welcome, and it's not an intimidating environment. And that was exactly what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
You know, I had gone to other gun stores trying to find an instructor. And for whatever reason, we didn't go with them.
Yeah.
And we remembered our friends Chuck and Emma.
Yeah.
And I know that Chuck has gone to national level training. Right? He is multiple training certified, and he knows his stuff. And his emphasis on safety is outstanding.
Yeah.
Like, he is probably one of the safest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
When it comes to firearm safety.
Incredible.
Like, it is so paramount. And so people come away from the class with this knowledge. Now, is this the typical class that you see in a metaphysical store? Probably not. But we want our community to feel safe.
And our community was telling us that they couldn't find a place where they felt safe, that they wanted to be armed because they're terrified. But they weren't comfortable going to gun stores with Hondo men, and worried about those men being MAGA and maybe knowing who they were.
Yeah.
And getting a feel for where they live, and all of those things come into play when you're thinking about going and getting this kind of training. And then also, too, if you think about it from a strategic mindset, they know what you don't know because they trained you. But they didn't feel comfortable with that. So being a community center the way that we are, and that's how we feel about ourselves, is we're at a community center, we decided we would offer them something safer, a safer alternative. And make sure that if they're going to arm themselves, they're not going to shoot themselves or shoot somebody else by accident. And they're going to be well trained and well taken care of.
Yeah. I mean, you learn how to store them correctly so your babies don't get a hold of them. There's
learn
so
how to
many.
maintain them, too.
Yeah. Important things to know. And so we got denigrated for that.
Yeah.
We got denigrated for that because we should be neutral.
Yeah.
We should be neutral. It should be a healing space. Well, we can't be neutral because, again, to be neutral in times like these is to take the side of the oppressor.
Yes,
to give them equal footing, to give them equal speech. You're not deserving of equal speech.
Yeah.
I don't give talking time to Nazis.
No.
I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
what you think at this point. You've already determined yourselves to be what you are.
Yeah.
So go be in the moment.
You've demonstrated it.
Yeah. So we're not going to tolerate that within these walls. And if you have a problem with that, that's cool.
Yeah.
The amount of people that tell us what we should and shouldn't do without ever having run a business themselves of this volume, of brick and mortar, you have no idea what you're talking about, and I don't need your advice.
Yeah.
It's until you've done it, I don't want to hear it.
And 9 times out of 10, they're things I've already tried.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That were epic failures.
Oh, you know what you guys should do? Yeah, we did that 4 years ago. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, what about that? Done that 3 years ago. It didn't work.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're experts or we know everything.
Hell no.
Far be it, right? But the assumption and the way that people will instigate and instill their own thoughts and opinions about things that they don't have the knowledge to put that there. They don't have the experience, the real world, but they want to dictate to you what you should or shouldn't do. You should be neutral. You should be a healing place. We are a healing place if you want it to be.
Yeah.
But we're not going to change who or what we are for anyone.
And we get told all the time by everybody that walks through the door, basically, that they come here to feel better.
That's the point.
That the vibe here is so good.
Yeah.
That they come here to feel better. Like they've had a bad day at the end of the day, even if they don't buy anything. They come here to hang out for a few minutes and just feel better.
Yeah.
So tell me I'm doing it wrong again.
And that's the point. That's why one of the big reasons we want that for you.
Yes.
We want you to be able to come and escape the world for a few minutes.
And be able to say whatever it is that's on your mind.
Yeah.
And not be judged for it. And I have never found more judgmental people in one place than I've found in the New Age movement. You are so judgmental and so unhealed. It's so freaking unbelievable to me. The way that you look down your nose at everybody who doesn't practice what you practice, and that you feel the carte blanche to run around to each different vendor that we have here and tell them how they're doing it wrong. And this is one of the reasons those people are not here either. Mm-hmm. So one of the policies that we've always had since our inception in this new space where we were going to have events was that you don't tell other people how to practice. You all read and you all signed that. And I expect you to abide by it. And if you can't, you're gone. You don't go and tell other people what they're doing wrong. Everybody has their own spiritual practice, and it's personal. That's what makes it spiritual.
If they ask you, that's different.
Yeah, but if they didn't, if they didn't initiate it, and you just ran down to their room and told them you have to do this,
that shit's happened.
Yeah, and then go to their event and try to take over and co-opt it. Then we got a problem with you. Yeah,
it's really frustrating, especially when we still have the same point that we had when we started. We want to give a community space, but the volume of nonsense that we have had to deal with from people that we thought we could trust is overwhelming, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
we don't like it.
It's hurtful. It's very hurtful
because wow, I didn't know you really thought like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Really, really shocking.
You know.
And you criticize everything we do. And you criticized every single point you could think of. And then said, but I hold no hard feelings. Really? Because what you said previous to saying I hold no hard feelings, said, yeah, you do. And when you say that we had to take a break from one another, I had no idea we needed a break. You didn't tell me because you're passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not the way to deal with people, and that's why John and I are so adamant about being plain spoken, and so adamant about, I'm going to try my best not to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to be plain spoken with you, and I'm going to say things like, we've had complaints. Because people will come to us and complain, and I will.
And we
say,
want you to, by the way.
Yes, please don't hold off until 2 weeks.
Please let us know.
We only block banned the other two that we removed about 2 weeks after, because we finally had people come in and say, well, we were at this gathering where there were some transphobic commentaries and nobody around the table agreed with it, and it ended up being kind of a very tense time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why didn't you tell me then?
Yeah,
so I could do something then. Yeah. I understand. You don't want to get in the middle of anything, and you don't want to put yourself out there or feel like you caused problems, or a lot of people just feel like I don't want to cause any drama. But honey, when something like that happens in a place that's part of the Safe Space Alliance, you need to say something.
Yeah.
Because I want you all to feel safe, and I don't want any of you to have those discomforting moments that you experienced where everybody at the table got really quiet and you felt very much, freaked out by the fact that was said. That things of that nature were said in this space with a pride flag hanging over the
we don't
table.
ever want that for anyone. And we take it very seriously.
Yeah.
And, I've heard people say, well, Picky Weeds has a reputation for not putting up with bullshit. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's exactly right. And
we want you happy and comfortable.
We will take it as far as we have to.
Yeah.
And that includes a very nasty attorney.
And we're not turning anybody away at the door.
No.
I mean, it's, that was kind of insinuated too. If a MAGA person walks in here and buys things, as long as they don't start shit with other people, I don't bother them.
Yeah, don't instigate anything.
Don't instigate it. And don't start your rhetoric. And then you'll be fine, because this is a safe space for everybody. And that means when you start amping up that political garbage, I'm going to call you on your bullshit and ask you to leave. It's really that simple. It's that simple.
But if you walk in wearing that merch,
you're asking.
You're already instigating, and you know it. Mm-hmm. You know it.
Yeah.
If bigotry is your dearly held belief, you keep it to your fucking self.
Yeah.
You walk in with that shit. It's purposeful.
You're trying to get somebody to say something to you.
Yeah. And we just don't need it. We're inundated with a 24-hour news cycle of doom scrolling and horror and depression, and we felt those things too.
Yeah,
always. I feel it every day. I yell at my TV so much it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but this too shall pass, guys.
Yeah, it will.
This too shall pass.
Absolutely will.
And one thing we all need to remember is to stay with each other and be the community.
Yeah.
We are the resistance.
Yeah.
We are resisting tyranny. They are doing everything they can to strike fear in the hearts of our communities.
Absolutely.
And you can't let them.
No.
You got to be brave. You got to be strong. You got to be angry, and channel it in the right way.
And take care of one another.
And I know a lot of us are doing some baneful. And now's the time.
Yeah.
Now's the time, right? So channel that frustration and that anger. Channel it right into that ritual. Send it right where it belongs.
Oh, yeah.
Put it right on their head. You've seen people going, tipping over at the microphones.
Yes, I love that.
I see you,
Good
witches.
job, guys.
I see you, witches.
Keep it up.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Oh,
This is the time for baneful. This is a deserving group of people for baneful.
Yeah.
Because they're vile, evil people.
People say that, you come together as a community with an intention, and that raises the vibration. That's all well and good. But when tyranny has taken over, first, with all your intention, gather together to stamp out the tyranny. And then gather back together to raise the intention so that this never happens again. And I want you to think about when this is all over, I want you to start thinking about the DNA that brought this about. And I want you to see it on the strand. And I want you to see the RNA alter it. I want you to start thinking in that vein and raise that vibration towards we will never have this in our bloodlines again. Yeah. Because it's raised its head so many times in the last 100 years. And it's not even been 100 years since Auschwitz. And
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not ancient history.
No, it's like, and somebody made the suggestion the other day that the reason it didn't run on the 100 to 125 year cycle this time is because technology speeded everything
absolutely.
up. And that made perfect sense to me. There's more connection in the world. And so it was able to amp itself up faster.
And on the flip side of that, the resistance is also able to amp up in a much faster, more efficient manner than would have done in the 1940s.
Yes.
And thankfully it works both ways, right? And we've seen some organization. We've seen organizations standing up. We've also seen some organizations bend the knee. Yeah. And that is truly frightening.
Never acquiesce. Never
acquiesce. Never surrender at it. And it, a lot of this stuff, you have to be careful because on social media, a lot of the stuff is clickbait. Yeah. And it's intended that they put sensational things up that you'll click on because they get paid for the
like
engagement.
Student walkouts that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That they're putting up there.
Or
now,
they mismatch events. Mm-hmm. Right. Look at this protest and it happened years ago somewhere else, some other event. Yeah. So you have to, use your bullshit detector there too. And just don't doom scroll all day. I know I'm guilty of it too, and I get mad and frustrated and depressed and angry.
We start our morning this way every day. Stop doom scrolling.
I know.
Stop it.
Trying to get my FYP more into puppies and cats.
We're getting it into puppies, then get she rescues where a dog is up for euthanasia, and then I'm just sitting there bawling like, I hate people. How could you be so cruel? It's just terrible.
Try to do something positive this week for somebody. try to be the person for someone that needs you.
I will never change.
But for those of us demanding that we fit your idea of what we should be, it's never going to happen.
I'm not for everybody, and that's fine with me.
And whether we live or die, that is the way we're going to be. And we're not going to go out on our knees. Right? We're going to go out standing on our feet.
That's right.
And we're never going to change. So don't even bother coming in trying to.
You should do this. You should do that.
Yeah. Thanks for your advice, person who has never run a business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen how fraught it is with fraud?
Yeah.
And usurpation.
And we're doing everything we can to be as authentic as we can, to be as plain spoken as we can, and to be there for the people that need us. Yes. And for the people that just want to usurp or insert themselves so that they can make money on our backs, just know that your time is short. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Because you will be found out and you will be shown the door. Yeah. And because we do everything we can to ensure the experience here is a positive one and it's for everyone, not for the alien groups.
No. Yeah.
That's us.
That's us. That's who we are. Love you guys.
Yes.
So we hope you enjoyed this episode of In the Weeds, and we hope you didn't have to pick too much pucker brush off your cloak after visiting with us here. If you liked the episode, please follow, subscribe, and share. And if you're really kind, leave a positive review. Be sure to tune in next week as we publish a new episode weekly. If you're in the area, stop by the store and see us. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.